So, does this program teach about sex or sexual abuse?
Not directly. The ATI curriculum was developed by a man named Bill Gothard. He goes way back to the 1970s, 1980s. Had a seminar called the Institute in Basic Youth Conflict Seminar in the 70s. Had thousands of attendees across the nation. So in the 1980s, he develops this homeschool curriculum called the Advanced Training Institute. Sex was not something that was really talked about in the curriculum. In fact, sex was kind of always this awkward, taboo subject that you really didn't want to talk about. But it kind of created this infatuation with sex by the sheer fact that it was completely
ignored. That it didn't mention, it ignored it. So then the Duggar children would have had probably no idea. They had no idea about sexual abuse, would they?
Probably not. My guess is that when it happened, they probably thought something was wrong, but didn't really know what. And some could even speculate that they're just now, some of them, figuring out what exactly happened to them and just how wrong it was.
So professional therapy would have been frowned upon, even taboo under this program. So do you think that the victims and the sisters and even Josh, would they have received the proper counseling now?
Absolutely not. Within the ATI program, professional counseling is definitely looked upon with a lot of skepticism. If they got counseling, it would have been through the ATI program, through Gothard. They might have called the headquarters of the program in Chicago. They might even talk to Bill Gothard himself. But any kind of counseling that he would have given them would not have been professional. He's not a licensed professional counselor, and would have been based on what I believe are some wacky ideas of sex, abuse, the body, and all that.
Yeah. Charles Blow, I know that this hits home for you, and this really upsets you. What upsets you the most?
Well, it more saddens me than it upsets me, and I think that one thing that it does do is it makes us reorient the way we think about childhood sexual abuse. You know, I wrote a memoir where this is a big theme of it. I've been going around the country for the last 8 months talking about this subject, and
you're a survivor.
Exactly, and so what you understand from that is people don't quite understand what sexual abuse looks like in America. They think of it more as the Sandusky case, or they think of it as Catholic priests. They think of it as the things that get the big headlines. But what the data show us is that the one age with the most offenders is actually not even an adult. It's a 14-year-old, which is the age that Josh was at least in one of the years when he was accused of, admitted to being an abuser. Half of all children who are abused are under the age of 11, and of that cohort, the #1 age is 4 years old.
Yeah.
And so we have to stop thinking about this as being an adult and a kid in their teens, and start thinking about it as being an older child and a younger child, and that reorients our thinking about and our discussions about when we start to talk to children about the sanctity of your body and how you are able, when should you say something, and being able to trust people and protect those kids better. And most of these attacks occur in the home. Most of them occur with someone.
And kids don't usually tell. The kid who's being abused don't usually tell because they don't want to give up their sibling. Plus, they think that the parent or the person, the older person, whoever the guardian is, they think they're going to judge them. I didn't tell my mother until I was 30 years old.
Right. And that's the thing, right? So people hold on to this for incredible amounts of time, and just think about the amount of psychic damage that is being done. So if you, imagine it happens when you're 4 years old, and you have to live in the house with that person for another 14 years, and then you go away to college and you still don't have your own kind of medical plan so that you can get counseling on your own. So maybe you hold on to that at the shortest amount of time, 2 decades, trying to deal with it yourself.
And everyone is saying, oh, well, he is forgiven. And you go, well, wait, what about me? I'm the victim here. Lisa, let's talk about this. In Touch magazine broke the story, now reporting that Josh Duggar sued the Arkansas Department of Human Services 9 months after their investigation began. And we don't know what the suit was all about. But what are the possibilities here?
Well, that is very mysterious and intriguing. My educated guess, practicing in this area, and for decades I've represented victims of child sexual abuse and rape, and I still do, is that the department was trying to hold him accountable in some way, probably by putting restrictions on what he could do in the home with those little girls. And he probably didn't like those restrictions, and so he was challenging it and trying to get them to change their order. That's just completely a guess. We don't know. I want to say one other thing about the forgiveness, because I think that's such an important point that you're making, Don. And I've read the entire police report, and the police report says that the little girls who were the 5 victims forgave him. You know, that's so disturbing to me. What kind of conversation was had with them? Did they get to fully voice and process what happened to them, or were they just told it's time for you to forgive your brother and that's the end of it? You know, I don't think you can ask a child to forgive a child molester when they're still a child. That's a process that victims have to go through for years, even decades. Some decide as adults to forgive, some don't. It's a very personal decision, but it really troubles me that these little girls were made to say that while they were still little girls.
Right, in the same way that you cannot consent to sex as a minor, you cannot, you know, you don't have the emotional maturity to forgive when you're a minor. Yes. You're just not in that space yet.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you, because you all are parents, and I can see, I mean, who wouldn't be affected by this? And we have a family here where one of the children abused other children. As a parent, how do you handle that nightmare scenario in a way that helps all of your kids? First, Lisa?
Well, the first thing you do is you have to remove the perpetrator from the home, because your first job as a parent is to protect your children. So you have to protect the victims. You remove him from the home, and then you have to get him the kind of counseling that Dr. Drew
They said they did it for a while. He went away for a while. That's what they said.
No, because I read the police report, and Michelle Duggar said it wasn't really counseling. He was just doing manual labor, rebuilding a friend's home. Manual labor is not a cure for sexual predation. We don't live in the 19th century. So he actually needed real counseling for being a sexual predator. That apparently never happened, at least not according to the police report.
John, I'll give you the last word here.
I think one thing we just don't want to leave out of this entire picture is that, you know, we're looking at the Duggars because they're famous. But there were literally hundreds of thousands of children raised in this ATI program under these same teachings and these same views of sex. And through the website that I've run, we've heard hundreds of these stories. And let's just not forget, amidst all the Duggar hoopla, there are still many, many others who are dealing with the same issues. And this definitely needs to be addressed in a very public way, in a very, very final way. This cannot continue to go on.
But I have to say, it's not just that program, because when I spoke to my family about it, I had family members who are religious, and they're not part of this program. And what they said was, you don't need a counselor, you don't need the law. What you need to go is talk to your pastor. And I just kind of laughed in their face. So it's not just this program. It's many people who believe that, you know, God cures everything and heals all. Well, that's not necessarily reality.
Well, I hope this is a wake-up call to those people that it's time to protect the victims.
Thank you.
And don't forget that those little girls, I mean, we haven't named those girls, but there were only so many of those girls who were even alive when this was supposed to happen. So, you know, just by deduction, you can figure out who they are. And their voices are still not being heard. We have no idea if they've had any sort of assessment, any kind of counseling, and we really have to be really careful about how we discuss them, because they are listening to people talk about their abuse on television.
Thank you, Charles. Thank you, John, and thank you, Lisa. I really appreciate it.